Greetings dear learners. In this video lesson, we will discuss about the nature and concept of journalism. In this unit, we will explore about the definitions, functions of journalism, role, nature and scope of journalism. Journalism in Indian context like democracy, secularism, development, why we called press as a fourth estate. All this we will discuss in detail one by one. Coming to the definitions, how the journalism word arrived. The words journal, journalism, journalist are derived from the French word that is journal, which it is the meaning is the term comes from the Latin term that is diurnals or daily. Generally we call it is a daily. We know newspaper daily. So that is daily. The first daily handwritten bulletin was the Acta Diurna. This is put up daily in the forum, the main public square in the Rome city. It was perhaps the world's first newspaper. In the later periods, the history and other newspapers like pamphlets, tracts, reviews, periodicals, gazettes, news books, news sheets, letters, all these terms, different terms of the newspaper. Those who wrote for the first called news writers, in another word essayist, another word mercurialist. Later we used what we are using nowadays, that is a journalist. The journalist word came from one by one like news writers, essayist, mercurist. Later now what we are using the word journalists. In the Mughal ruler in India employed Vakya Navis and Kanfiya Navis as a public and secret news writers to record once a week in a Vakya. Vakya means that is a gadget, or in generally we call it is a mercury, a sort of a gadget, the events of importance in the empire. Newsletters were read to the king every evening by the women of the court. Later in the British ruler, the British colonial rulers used a system of informers for their intelligence network. Now coming to discuss about the topic journalism. Journalism has come a long way since then. Today a journalist in anyone who contributes in some way to gather, selection or processing of news and current affairs for the press, that is newspapers, magazines, newsletters and radio. Radio we know various types of radios and films. Of course, film as a communication, not exactly journalism, but also it is also one of the communication. Television, you know, we have a 24 hours television news channels in various languages in India, and cable and the internet. Internet means digital media. Nowadays we are calling it is as a general word as a digital media. And journalism is the profession to which they belong to. All we call it is a in general as a journalism. Now we must know who are the journalists. The editors, correspondents, assistant editors, reporters, sub-editors, proofreaders, cartoonist, photojournalist, cameraman, we know electronic media also, camera crew, audio video editors, news readers, producers, directors and managing editors. These many we call as a journalist. Actually there is a act we have in Indian Constitution, that is a Working Journalist Act. There is prescribed who are the journalists, we will discuss. And another thing here we should know about the stringers or part-time journalists. While we know about the freelance journalist, Those who are occasionally contribute to one newspaper or many newspapers, or one newspaper, otherwise a news channel, may they contribute to anyone as a freelance journalist. As per the Working Journalist Act 1955, who are the working journalists? Working journalist means a person whose principal work is that of a journalist and who is employed as such either full time or part time in or in a relation to the newspaper, one newspaper or more newspaper establishments, and it includes an editor, reader writer, news editor, sub editor, feature writer, copy writers and reporters, correspondents, cartoonists, news photographers, generally we call it as a photojournalist, and also proofreaders. All these are comes under the working journalist. Here we need to know the definitions of the journalism. The main definition is the occupation of conducting a news medium, including publishing, editing, writing or broadcasting. As per the News Webster's dictionary, this is the one of the important definition. There is a number of definitions we have in a various dictionaries. Another dictionary meaning is journalism is a profession of conducting or writing for public journals, as per the Chambers dictionary. Here we need to know, otherwise we remember the quotation of Mahatma Gandhi. What he said, quote, "The objective of journalism is service," unquote, by Mahatma Gandhi. Here we need to know about the view of the first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. As per his thought, the press is one of the vital organs of modern life, especially in democracy. The press has tremendous power and responsibilities. The press must be respected. Now we will discuss about the role, nature and scope of journalism. Coming to the role, news is the part of communication that keeps us informed of the changing events, issues and characteristics of the world outside. Thought it may be interested or even entertaining, the foremost value of news is as a utility to empower the informed. Why the journalism in present context? The purpose of journalism is to provide citizens with the information they need to make the best possible decisions about their lives, their communities, their societies and their governments. So journalism is must in the world for everyone, every human being. They need to know what is their developments around happening in the world. Coming to the nature of journalism, we know that man by his nature is curious to know what is going on in the world around him. Journalism satisfies this vital human need by providing him with the relevant and requisite information. While a historian records what happened in the past, a journalist reports on current event and the latest news. Journalism draws its inspiration from the present. It depicts the situation of its developments. Coming to the nature of journalism, it is the day by day operation of gathering and transmitting news. It affects everyone. It concerns you and me and this society at a large. It is not writing a book at your leisure. Journalism to be effective, and journalism has got to be always kept on the move. Now we will discuss about the scope. Journalism is everywhere, just as a media takes an integral part in all our lives. Where there is a media, there is a journalism. Journalism is a field is worth working. It is one of the most prestigious careers one can get today. As one might be aware of the tools of communication and technology, and there is we have a printed media and television media and also audio video. Now we have a digital media. So there is a much scope in the journalism field. The internet is one more recent addition to the list. A lot of students are getting attracted to the field of digital media nowadays. This is mostly due to the fact that a career in a journalism can be challenging as well as highly rewarded. Now we will discuss about the journalism in the Indian context. Here we need to know one quotation of the famous journalist, that is N. Ramu. The quote starts, "Journalism in India, which has major strengths and resources, physical and intellectual, at its command, needs and internal accountability to higher intellectual and ethical standards, a more precious and breathless style of work, and public advocacy of its role as a vital part of the striving for a democratic society." This is a quote by a famous journalist N. Ramu, who is the formerly editor for the famous English newspaper. Need to discuss about the connectivity of journalism into democracy. India is a democratic society. In this really democratic society, the people have the right to know and also to be informed freely and fully of the current and contemporary events as regards the expression of opinion, comment, expression of views on topics of varied nature. There can be no restrict on a free press. So long as one or the other of the existing and valid laws are not breached, we have a freedom of expression, but we could not breach the laws related to our country. It's another important point is to discuss about the freedom of press. The government can exercise control over the press mainly in two ways, that is through censorship and reduction of paper quota. For example, every newspaper has some newsprint subsidy by the government. Another thing is denial of advertisements and postal facilities. So every newspaper must follow as per the government instructions. There is another positive manner. The liberal paper quota, subsidies, advertisement support, all these will be facilitated by the government. So the press must be, nowadays it is the situation, it is happening. The press is following as per the guidelines by the government. In American Constitution, there is a particularly one article for the freedom of press, but coming to the India, there is no particular articles related to the freedom of the press. But we have, every citizen have a freedom of expression, one article in the 19(1) of A. As per this article only, we must experience, we must enjoy our freedom of press. There is no separate press freedom for the newspapers or media agencies. Here we need to know about the connection between the journalism and secularism. The strength of India's unity lies in its policy of secularism. The press should take care and be vigilant to see that there is no attack on this basic value. The Press Council of India has inter alia drawn comprehensive guidelines on the subject. Another important point is development. The development reporting has always been a feature of Western reporting, especially in the specialized journals of the West, means Western world, as can only be expected. In the Indian press has to take note of the process of development and report on it for the education of new class of readers, the industrial entrepreneurs. Why we called press as a fourth estate? Dear students, the power of significance of a press in democratic society in the world renowned. Though press have a perceived authority, yet it is a real ability is not a secret to the world. The existence of a free, independent and powerful media is the cornerstone of a democracy, especially of a highly mixed society like India. Another important point is press is a pillar. Technically, a democracy stands on pillars of judiciary, executive, legislature and the press. But with the rise of the press and its power to reach every nook and corner of the country, it can also be considered as the fourth pillar of democracy. Now we will discuss about the functions of journalism. The main functions of the journalism are information, interpretation of news, entertainment, advertising, education, news function and guidance. So here we need to know about the detailed about the each function. Now coming to the information function. This function includes all reports, news and happenings concern the daily life. It does not include any information involving or concerning the pursuit of leisure, but it does cover all news regarding government, publics, foreign affairs, weather, accident, business, labor, education, sports, cinema, etc. Another main function is interpretation of news. The need for interpreting and explaining the news in our day and the age is readily manifold because their own fields of knowledge confuse even the specialist at times. The ordinary mortal caught in a web of economics, science or invention needs to be led by the hand through its details. There is no doubt that information and influence play an inevitable role in the success of the largest general interest. Another function is entertainment. Side by side with its more serious roles as a supplier of information, interpreter and molder of opinion, journalism lays increasing emphasis on its functions as entertainer. Under this function can be included all types of fiction like comic scripts, stories, amusing aspects of everyday life. We know we have serials and many cinema related programs. All this comes under the entertainment function. Another function is advertising. This function of the press can very easily be recognized because it is commercially oriented. Sometimes the advertisements also have some public service messages under the prestigious advertisements regarding family planning and vaccination and driving safety, children and health care. All this comes under the advertising, public sector service advertising. Now we need to know about the another important function, that is education. The journalism not only provide the information to the people, but they also educate people by providing guidance on various issues through the editorials, columns, opinions, middles, various words, special stories, feature stories. The need for the interpreting and explaining the news in our day readily manifold because their own field of knowledge puzzled even the specialist at that time. We have another important function, that is news functions. The most important and existing function of journalism is the provision of a daily or periodical supply of news and all other news. The provision of news to the readers is a basic concept in the journalism. One more main function is guidance. The journalism endeavors to sway the minds of men through the printed words, cartoons, images, pictures, graphics as they appear in the newspapers, magazines, pamphlets and books, and through the spoken words over the air. Nowadays, journalism developed into a full-fledged social discipline. Let us remind about the freedom of speech and the press. Freedom of speech and the press lay at the foundation of all democratic organizations. For without free political discussion, no public education. So, essential for the profit, the proper functioning of the process of popular government, it is possible with the press. Here we need to know about the two main articles, that is article 19 of 1 of A. In this article, it is provides for the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression. It was though that freedom of press was not expressively mentioned in article 1 of A. There is also limitations mentioned in the constitution under the article 19 of 2. What are the limitations? The limitations are reasonable restrictions as outlined in article 19 of 2 of the Indian constitution. They allows for restriction in the interest of the security and sovereignty of India and friendly relations with the foreign states, public order, decency or morality in the relation to contempt of court, defamation or incitement to the offence. Dear students, so far we have learned about the nature and role of journalism. In the journalism, we have particularly some role in the democracy, related to the democracy. So, how a journalism is plays main role in the democracy like India and related states, Indian countries, Indian like countries. So far there is a main functions related to the journalism, that is information. Information means not only the news related information, there is another various other activities like entertainment related information. So, we know we have sports related entertainment, that is also one kind of a entertainment which is available in the journalism. We know there is a particular pages related to the sports, particular pages related to the cinema. We have many newspapers related to the journal business and economics. So, that kind of interest is apply in the journalism. In case if you have to be a particularly one kind of a journalism, like one kind of a journalist, either as a sports journalist or a business journalist or a science and a health related, communication related journalist, you may have many options in the journalism. There is a lot of scope in the print media and electronic media, even though today we have a lot of scope in the digital media. we can start our own YouTube channel. So there is a n number of scope, n number of opportunities and chances we have to be grown in the journalism. We can start a newspaper without even the physical copy. We have a technology available now. We are using e-papers. Number of senior journalists now, they were opening e-newspaper portals. They were started their individual YouTube channels related to the news. So journalism is one kind of good subject. There is a lot of scope we have. So if we have interested, we know the laws related to the journalism. If we know the code of conduct, code of ethics, media laws, we will be a good journalist in the field of journalism. Thank you very much for the listening this lesson.